This is Rick Barker from Humantech. I'm providing a summary of the fad or fact presentation that I gave at the Ohio Safety Conference earlier this year. You may recognize some of these product fads, some of them more recent than others. When I started in ergonomics over 25 years ago, I had to explain to everybody what the term ergonomics meant. Now I find the word ergonomics showing up describing just about any product under the sun, even something like a toilet brush. The challenge is that ergonomics has become such a widely used term that it borders on becoming meaningless. So let's define ergonomics. Ergonomics is fitting the product to the person. As we look at the idea of fact versus fad, fads are generally intense or short-lived, although in the case of some of the ergonomic fads, they've been around for longer than we would like. We'll contrast that with facts, and facts from an ergonomic standpoint are something that we can verify with scientific evidence. The first one I'll begin with is the idea of the aging workforce and the impact that this has on ergonomics. And this has a combination of fact and fad in it. For instance, it's a myth that older workers have more injuries than younger workers. And what we find in conclusion about the aging workforce is that most of the recommendations that we see for the aging workforce are really the same good ergonomic principles that we'd want for any employee doing the job. The benefit of anti-fatigue matting is one of the facts from an ergonomic standpoint, and it's something that we should provide to any employees who are standing for more than 70% of their workday. Now, a recent fad has been the idea of sitting on a ball chair at work, and instead of sitting on a ball that really doesn't have the benefits of reducing back pain that are promoted, what we really want to do is provide people with fully adjustable seating. Another fad is the idea of a treadmill workstation. The idea might be that the added activity would not only burn calories, but the added movement would help reduce the static loading that we exist in our office workstations. However, they haven't proven to be effective, and they can actually introduce some ergonomic risks. Now, standing workstations on the whole have a combination of pros and cons. When we sit all day long, that's associated with certain health risks. Unfortunately, when we stand all day long, that's also associated with certain health risks. One of the ideas that's been popular lately is the idea of a standing computer workstation. And there's a lot, the scientific benefits of this are yet to be determined. There's a lot of evidence pointing to the problems of sitting all day long at a computer workstation. However, what we've yet to see from a scientific standpoint is a demonstration that the standing workstation will overcome these problems that have been identified. So the jury is still out on this, but it's one that we're certainly hopeful for from an ergonomic standpoint that will prove out. Back belts for lifting and material handling is one of the oldest fads that we've seen in ergonomics. And what we want to do instead of have back belts is that we want to reduce the risk in the workplace. And two key things that we can do is we either can make the object light enough to lift, or we can make it so heavy that people won't consider lifting it and will use equipment in place of that. Another fad that we see in the workplace is the idea that workplace stretching will reduce ergonomic risks. And when we look at the control methods for musculoskeletal disorder hazards, or really for any safety hazards in the workplace, we see a few accepted methods. Engineering controls that would eliminate the risk to a worker, or administrative controls that would change the exposure to those risks. And what we find is that stretching doesn't do anything to change the risk exposure in a job. Job rotation is another popular approach to reducing ergonomic risk, and this is one that has a combination of fact and fad within it. And used properly, it can be a good supplement to the engineering controls that you already put in place. Some of the recommendations for it include making sure that we don't move people from a high-risk job for a body area, such as the right arm, to another job that's also high risk for the right-hand side of the body. So we want to make sure that we're changing what risks people are exposed to from one job to the next. And this is not as simple as just moving people to the next station on the line. I want to thank you for coming to my presentation if you did attend. If you have any further questions, I'd encourage you to connect with us at Humantech or to connect with me personally, and I'll be happy to address those questions. Thank you.